Hey everybody, it's me, CrystalMan2000, and welcome back to Team Fortress Tuesdays. This week, gonna be playing as the medic with the default minigun, the Ubersaw, and the Crusader's crossbow. And for this episode, I want to be talking about indie games. Now, for those who may be uninformed, indie games are games that are made by small company names that, or not even companies sometimes, just like a small group of people who just want to develop a game for fun, because they're not a huge company or whatever. There's some pretty famous ones such as Minecraft, Super Meat Boy. But what I really want to talk about is like the way I personally feel about indie games. And that's I I'm kind of mixed around with them. Sometimes have those people who are like serious and want to make it, and those are the people who make games like Super Meat Boy, Game Dev Tycoon. And then you have like other these other parties, such as people who made like I can't even think of other games, but I know there's like games out there that just get so huge population and have such a huge following, but they don't have anybody to like follow them. Like some people some indie developers can make some really good games, as we've seen with games like Minecraft and Super Meat Boy as examples again. But what's kind of happening to indie is that they're starting to lose a little bit of a reputation. So there's like, you have some people that are making these wonderful games, and then you have like these lower games that aren't getting like kickstarted, or are not having kickstarts. But then you have that one game that's just like super incredible, like Yacht Club Games making Shovel Knight, and that Gears for Breakfast people making A Hat in Time. Like, some of these people can get a lot of money, and I don't understand why these people, like, yes, all those games are really good, and those games deserve to their Kickstarters. I can completely agree with that. But sometimes the people only look at the ones that people are, like, crowding towards. Sometimes people aren't looking at the people who can have really good game ideas, but not want to Kickstarter it. One example I can think of off the top of my head, have any of you guys heard of the game Unturned? It's basically a game if Minecraft and Dead Island had a baby, but this is becoming like a very popular game, and it's got a huge wiki following already. And just the fact that there's this one indie game, or I guess you could call it an indie game, or just like a small game like Minecraft, but these games are getting extremely popular, and I kind of feel bad for those people who have to make these indie games and then just don't get any credit for it. Like, I can't get the game off the top of my head, but there's this one PC game that I really love, and it's an indie game, and I've never seen anybody ever talk about it. And it's just kind of unfair with the way I see it. And just the weird thing about indie games. Have an inconsistent, there's inconsistent loves for them. You can have, once again, like I mentioned, they're really good ones, and then later on you start to fall into the category of people are just trying to get famous and stuff because they can make these really popular games. And then you have these games that, like, there's some people who, for the most part, I can agree that indie games, usually people are very good about it. They make these games and they actually like them. And then you have the people who are getting credits from people like PewDiePie and Markiplier, and they're making like, videos about like Flappy Bird. This guy spent like $3 and now he's like a millionaire. And it's just like a game. It's this tiny little game that's so stupid. And the problem is that everyone's either is really focusing on that, like the main crowd, because gaming, obviously, it has the hardcore people which get these really cool, incredible games, and then you have the casual audience who will take games like, well, I don't know, Cooking Mama, I don't know, things like that, and they're not paying attention to these small things. And then people come out with things like, there's this one indie game that's made for, like, I don't know, iOS or something like that that people have a lot of and that can have on the go. And they just get, one person gets it, and that spreads everywhere else. And the problem with that, I feel, though, is that it doesn't work for console games like Shovel Knight, like Super Meat Boy. Yes, these games have good reputations, but they're nowhere near as good of reputations as they could with, like, the, general audiences. Like, Shovel Knight would be perfect for the people, would be perfect for, like, an iOS release, and they are not getting anything, practically. Yes, it's getting a lot of praise, don't get me wrong, but it's not as good as it could be, and it kind of makes me kind of feel bad for those people who spend so much time and effort and get just put down by these people who spend $3 on making this stupid addictive game. And that's just the main problem I have with all of this. I don't think it's fair to the rest of the indie audience that one person can just have just have like an hour to themselves and be a millionaire the next day. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Also, I just want to point out this demo night. But pretty much all I'm saying about this is that I don't hate the indie games. Some of these games can be really good. Like, I was interested in this game called Wooden Sensei for like the Wii U, and then I've noticed that I'm trying to, like, when I first started getting into gaming, I only focused on the big companies like Valve and Nintendo, and I still do to this day. But I've noticed that I've started to gain a bit of a, I guess, a love-hate relationship with indie, that I like these games. I want to play these games that people put their hearts and souls into. And and there's one company that out of all of this that I can say is like the best example of this. Platinum Games. Now, for those who don't know who Platinum Games are, they are the people who've developed Beautiful Joe, Okami, Wonderful 101, Bayonetta, and on the way, Bayonetta 2. And the way I see it, this is the best way you're going to get like an indie felt. Like, it feels like an indie game, but a major company, and has major money. And that's where games... And the reason I say this is because Wonderful 101 is one of the greatest games I have played. And just the fact that this one company can make all of these games, and they definitely have their heart and soul put into it, I absolutely love it. But that's my little rant on indie games. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.